Hello YouTube, welcome to my shop. I'm Mike and I appreciate you stopping by. You know, the last couple of projects that I've done here in my wood shop is I could tell the cuts weren't quite on the mark. They weren't bad. I could compensate for them, but I don't like to compensate. So I came down to it's my fence or my blade to the table or my miter or something. So I thought I'd give the table saw, which this is a Delta X5 table saw with the Biesemyer Fence. I've owned it about 3 years, and it's probably about a 2007 model. 220 volts. I really like the table. You can set it really accurate, but my shop is small and this is a mobile table saw, and I run it all around this shop 10 times a day when I'm out here working, bumping into things and having things bump into it. And so it's time for a thorough tuning. And the way I start it is first I go to the table itself, and if you've seen any of my videos, you know that I've got a bad habit of using my table saw as a workbench. I like to do that because I've got flat things in my shop, but this is the flattest, I believe. So I'm going to go around with and get rid of any glue drippings or any rust that's come up from me dripping sweat on it. That's a problem I have with this too. So I'm going to do the top, then I'm going to check to make sure everything is right. This is a little off. As a matter of fact, I checked it real quick, and this is like you know, at least 7 thousandths off, I think. Goes in there pretty easy at 7 thousandths. So I've got to adjust these tables. There's 3 5/8 inch bolts that hold that, and this extension too. I'll check that. Then once the table's flat and cleaned of goo, I will use some this rust free. I'll spray on it. I will clean up everything with the extra fine steel wool. And then normally I use this Bow Shield T9. It's really good stuff. It's expensive stuff. I mean, this is $10 and this is more. But I don't think I have enough to do the table, so I will use Mother's metal protector, which I really like Mother's a lot. If you've seen my hand plane video, that's what I use on the hand planes, and it really works good. So then after the table's done and flattened, I will check the blade for 90 degrees. When it stops, it'll be dead on 90. And then I will check, well, I can check that right now. I want to make sure that nothing catches here, and it's a little under on this end, which it is, and a little over on this end, which everything will slide out through. And then once I get the blade set at that, I will measure the table for blade this way. And the way that works is there's 4 bolts, and you'll have to unloosen like 3 of them and use the persuader to tap that out. So let me start on the top, and then we'll get to adjusting the blade, and we'll do it one step at a time. I use this Mother's Magan aluminum polish, but it's good for all kinds of metals. That's what I use on my hand planes. And what's nice about it, or what I like about it, you don't let it dry. You start, you wipe it off when it's wet. Alright, I got the table de-rusted and waxed, and I've got the table squared up. Or they match perfectly all the way up. Now that took some time, I gotta say, because even sometimes when you pull the bolt tight, it'll spring it out. So you gotta kind of just work it in between all three and just get a little tighter and a little tighter, and when it's there, then the final tight. But the next thing I want to do is I want to check my blade for 90 degrees. Now, I've got this Miter Tune that's way too accurate for my shop. I couldn't afford something this expensive, but one day on eBay it started up for like $29. It had this, it had the small T-square, and for 29 bucks. And I was going to go double that, and I figured that I wouldn't even be close, and nobody else bid on it. The guy was kind of upset. But that's the brakes and naval air, skid marks in the sky. A way a lot of people do this is they check it for 90. Now, the way I do it is I try to use the flashlight, and yeah, this is one of those Harbor freebies. Okay, that looks pretty darn good, you know, but the way I do it, I mean, you can't see any light in between, but the way I think is a little more accurate is if you take off the insert and you bring this up like about here. Of course, the saw's unplugged, and then you bring it the whole length, and then you can see from top to bottom. And I'm a little off. It looked pretty good the first half, but the two halves together, I'm a little off. You know what? I may have knocked that loose with I hang my cord on it, so I might have. Or it got dirty or something. Let's see what that does. That's right at the stop. Yeah, that was the problem. Now it's perfect to the table, 90 degrees to the table. Let's go to the next step. Okay, how you check for the blade being straight to the miters? There's a couple of ways. Most people, they don't have a meter, so they can use a ruler. Now, to use a ruler, I suggest being, oh man, you know, get the most accurate ruler you can. Now, this goes down to a 32nd, and according to this, it's 5 16 32seconds, so that's right on a 1/2 inch on there. So we go up here, we're a 32nd over, we're 17 30seconds. Down here it's 5 16 even. Actually, Yeah, 5 1/16 even. Now I've got my Mitsutoya. It goes down to 64ths, but I mean, even with these, I have trouble getting a 64th right on this line. You know, because I mean, it's just tough. What I'd rather do is this came from mastergauge.com, and I can't even remember how much I paid for it. But it measures in 1,000th increments, so you know, it rides in the miter slot, and then it measures this way. Now, miter slots. If we put this in the miter slot, I don't know if you can see that, but just the wiggling of this, it can change it 10, 15, 20 thousandths. So what this came with was something to tighten this right into the miter. So let me tighten this up so it's perfect, and we'll go from there. All right, I've got this really tight in the slot. It doesn't move a bit. I got it on 0, and all I do is I set it down there on 0, and then I bring it down here, and that's at 26. That is hard to believe. Geez, no wonder I wasn't making good cuts. Let me try this again. This isn't back to. Set this at 0. Okay, we got 0, and we got 20, 21, so it's still pretty, you know, I can do better than 21 thousandths. 0, 21 again. Yes, so this one is tilted this way. I've got to turn the table this way. So there's 4 bolts. I'm going to loosen 3 of them and tap them, see if I can get this to line up quicker than I did to get these side plates to line up. I need to take out 10 thousandths on one side to get it even. Let's do it. I'm liking it. I've got it within 5 thousandths of an inch from front to back. So that's real good for me. So the next step, we've got the blade set this way and this way. We've got the table cleaned. Now we got to adjust the Biesemyer fence. So that's pretty easy, but it still takes time, like getting that blade right. Took me an hour working on trying to get that within 5 thousandths, but it'll save me time on the other end. Okay, right now we're at, let me put this on 0. Holy mackerel. Oh. Geez, I was saying this is dead on. Let's try this. You know, that's 20 thousandths off too. So what I've got to do on the sled, there's a screw here and a screw here. If you tighten the screw, it'll bring it that way. If you loosen it, it'll bring it that way. And you try to keep them both kind of balanced, I guess you might say. So let's okay. I want to turn each one at least at, whoops, I need a different size. Maybe this is the size. Nope, bigger. Let's go 3/16. That's it. So I'm going to turn it one full turn in. No, I'm going to turn a half turn. That really adjusted a lot. So half turn there in. Half turn here in. And I think that's going to tighten my sled up, or my fence up. Yes. Actually, it's too tight, so I'm glad I didn't do a full turn, or I'd have been in trouble. Let me do a quarter of a turn. Okay, that's tight as far as the handle goes. Now I gotta see how it is as far as the wow, I might have got lucky. It's 0, it's zero there, and it's 3/1000ths there. I think 3/1000ths. I'm gonna say that's good. That's good in Mike's book. So the fence is done, the blade is done, the table is cleaned. Now I've got to do my Incra Miter, so it's exact with the table. Okay, YouTube. The last thing I do to correct my table saw is the miter slide. Now, the Delta Uni-saw came with this miter, and it's pretty good, but it wobbles just a little. I mean, it's not very much, but it does wobble. Now, if you're cutting one piece of wood, it's probably fine. But if you're cutting a lot, one little error keeps increasing with every cut. So you don't want any little errors. Now, I think even the directions on this were to align it with your blade. But there's a guy, I think it's THINX12 or something. It's on correcting errors in your miter. And he shows the difference between putting it on the blade and putting it on the miter. So it was quite interesting for me, and since I saw that, I don't do it on the blade anymore. I do it on the miter slots. I put the blade good to the miter slots, and this is below 5/1000ths now, so that's good enough for me. And I'll do the miter with the miter slot. And the way I do it is I use my Mitsutoi because it's the most accurate thing I've got. And I'll check it several ways. I'll put it over here and slide the board up. Make sure that this is set and that board is right on. So at night, when the needle back here is on 90 degrees, it's pretty right on 90 degrees. And then I'll also gauge it with this side. Now this is down just a little bit so I can put my miter right on it. I just want to slowly slide it in, make sure it's there, and I just can't complain about this. So this is square to the miter slot, which is square to the blade. All right. Now I don't, for that miter, I don't cut 45s with it. I don't even try, or I don't cut real delicate cuts either. I use my Incra. Now this is one of those things that came with the tools in my shop. I would have probably never spent the money on this, but now that I've used it, I don't see how anybody can't spend the money on it. It's just a great thing. And why it's so great is that it can be so accurate. It can be so accurate indeed. Now this is the Incra Miter 1000 HD. I guess HD means high def, because you can set this at like ½ degrees or something. I mean, this is way more accurate than I need. And there's a scale on it that you can you know, if you want 4 sides, 45 degrees. If you want 5 sides, 36. If you want 6 sides, 30 degrees. If you want 8 sides, 22.5 degrees. And you can set this. Let me give you a close-up look on this Incra, show you why it's so much better than a regular. Okay, that's kind of a close-up look of this sled. Now, it doesn't move at all. Nothing, because of these little gizmos right here. You can adjust those so they'll be perfectly tight in your miter slot, so there's no wiggle at all. And then you can bring it right up to just, you know, real close to the blade for cross cutting. There's a nice heavy metal fence, and then this is a nice stop on it. But you can see, let me see if I can get a close-up of the you can see the degrees in that. Now you open this and you'll want to put this 0 right on 0. Then lock it down, and then lock it down, and that should be 90 degrees. Let's check it. Like before, I'm going to check it with my Mitsutoi. And that looks perfect on that one. Okay, I'm happy with that. I mean, it's I'm happy with it indeed. Perfect. Now, since I know this is 90, this gauge is set so accurate that I know that when I open it up, shoot it over to 45 degrees exactly, that's going to be 45 degrees. Well, YouTube, that's what I do to keep my saw in what I call tip-top condition. It took a while. It took me a few hours to do this, but I know that on my next project I can roll this puppy out and I can start cutting, and I don't have to worry about compromising, fixing little things, bending around little things. It'll be perfect. And I was kind of far off, and now I think I better start checking my table saw twice a year instead of once a year, because I wasn't supposed to do this my shop maintenance till the end of spring, so I better look at it more. But that's the way I do it, YouTube. I'm ready for my next project now, which will be a walnut cabinet that I'm going to put under the cabinet that I made for my fishing rods and reels. I'm looking forward to that. Soon as I can save up enough money for the walnut. That might take a while, but I'm ready for it when I do. So until then, I wish you all well. I thank you for stopping by, and take care of yourselves.